This episode is sponsored by Maker's Mark. I recently teamed up with Maker's Mark to create some cocktails inspired by your favorite TV shows. Head to their YouTube channel where you can see the entire Mixing with Babish series. The link is in the video description.
It's not easy to make, lots of ingredients it takes, but it's worth it to serve my overnight salad. Take a little bit of lettuce, sprinkle in some cheese, a little scotch of lemon, and a gallon of mayo. So many raisins, an insane amount of pepper. Now you're making a salad.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Binging with Babish, where this week I thought the perfect way to close out a year like 2020 was to finally heed all the requests to make the overnight salad from SNL. Before we start, let me just remind you that this is what you wanted. That out of the way, let's get started. I'm going to make a sort of miniaturized version because I don't want to waste too many ingredients on this thing. As the song goes, a little bit of lettuce, sprinkle in some cheese, cubed, cheddar in this case, add a little skosh of lemon. This is a salad after all, we need a dressing. And speaking of which, here comes the mayonnaise. Not a gallon's worth, but a formidable enough layer of mayo that I can stand up my hot dogs in it. A sentence I never really thought I'd say. 54 hot dogs seemed like overkill. In the end, I think I used 25 or so hot dog halves. Then atop this goes, quote, so many raisins. I'm gonna go with 2 fistfuls, and I'm using the Thompson variety of raisins. Then an insane amount of pepper, a perfect application for our pepper cannon. And speaking of insane, we're topping this with Fritos and root beer, having been advised not to skimp on either. Once we've got this filled up to hot dog level with root beer, it's time to add the cookie croutons and the pizza topping. Go ahead and top that up, and she didn't mention it in the song, but the final salad definitely has an extra dollop of mayo and a maraschino cherry on top. And there you have it, folks, a dish that the moment I saw it on SNL, I swore I would never make, and yet here before me it looms. I began to survey the great beast, trying to figure out my best plan of attack, but then I remembered that I had skipped a vital step, leaving it out all night on the radiator. I no longer have a radiator, so this space heater will have to do the trick. That trick being giving me botulism, probably. So we're just gonna let this sit out all night, and of course I'm just kidding, that is not how I want to die, but Babishian law dictates that I must at least try a bite of this. So I'm gonna do my very best to wrestle out a bunch of this salad. I want to make sure that I can assemble a forkful with a little bit of everything on it. Gotta dig deep to make sure we get some of that lettuce and cheese. Let's try to throw together a bite and see how this thing tastes. And ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct privilege to be the first to report to you that, like most of the SNL food fever dreams, this one tastes about as good as it looks. So how, in the name of all that is holy, are we going to make a quote-unquote good version out of this? Well, as it turns out, overnight salads are actually a thing. The idea being that the different ingredients are layered and then covered with a thick dressing, preventing the vegetables from wilting and anything from getting too soggy. So as you might be able to tell, I'm starting this out by making my own mayo, combining a whole egg, teaspoon of mustard, a pinch of salt, and a skosh of lemon in an immersion blender jar, then slowly pouring 1 cup of neutral flavored oil like canola over top and blending until a thick, flavorful emulsion forms, otherwise known as mayonnaise. This is going to act as the basis for our Russian dressing because we're going to make an overnight salad inspired by a Reuben sandwich. So into a bowl goes our mayo, 1/3 cup of chili sauce, 3 tablespoons prepared horseradish, 1 teaspoon of the hot sauce of your choice, 1 teaspoon Westerfordshire sauce, 1 teaspoon sweet paprika, and a couple tablespoons of finely minced onion. Go ahead and tiny whisk those to a state of homogeneity. Cover and refrigerate for at least an hour. We want this to firm up a bit before we top our salad with it. In place of cookie croutons, we're going to make croutons. And since this is a Reuben salad, we're going to use rye bread. Simply cube up a bunch of your favorite rye, drizzle it generously with olive oil, sprinkle with kosher salt and freshly ground pepper, toss around, spread out, and bake in a 300-degree Fahrenheit oven for anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes until they're lightly golden brown and dry. Then it's time to address our meat. Standing in for our hot dogs is a big old chunk of deli pastrami, which at first we're going to slice into cubes, but then we're going to realize that those aren't quite tender enough, so we're going to slice them down into nice thin little pastrami bits. Last bit of prep is to shred up a whole bunch of Swiss cheese, and with that we are finally ready to assemble. As for greens, I'm going with some chopped purple cabbage for color. Arugula is going to provide a nice peppery bite in contrast to all the rich dressing and meaty cheese. Speaking of which, here comes some Swiss that I'm going to top with some chopped Cornichon pickles. Optional, but they're going to bring some nice little briny bites. Then I'm going to top that with a generous but not overwhelming layer of pastrami, some more cheese. Then I'm going to layer in some more arugula, cabbage, and cheese, which should hopefully help insulate our rye croutons from the moisture of the meat. Let's get those on in there, and then one last layer of green and purple stuff. And then we have to protect all these beautiful crisp layers from the scourge of the dressing, which I'm going to do by trying to lightly compress a thick layer of cheese on top, which will hopefully form a seal through which the dressing cannot penetrate. Then we're pouring on our dressing, making sure not to rush and Russian dressing, covering with plastic wrap, and then this salad lives up to its name as it is refrigerated overnight. Other than the ability to make it ahead, I'm not entirely sure why overnight salads exist, so maybe you guys can let me know in the comments. And then since we're trying out all different kinds of new things with this salad, figured might as well crumble some potato chips on top. This is totally optional, but it made sense to me because I love putting potato chips on a Reuben. Everything I learned in life, I learned from Liz Lemon. And obviously for a salad, this is not very healthy at all, even without the potato chips, but it really is actually very delicious, and it kind of makes up for the monstrosity from before. I mean, not really. I think only a sizable donation to a soup kitchen is going to do that. Check out the link in the video description to see where I donated and to donate yourself. Please give what you can, and maybe, just like with this salad, we can end 2020 on a nice note. Speaking of ending things on a nice note, thank you to the sponsor of today's episode, Maker's Mark. As I mentioned before, I got to partner with them on creating Mixing with Babish, a series of cocktails inspired by TV shows. We had a lot of fun making these drinks and filming these episodes, so I hope you have fun watching them. There's 9 videos covering everything from a hot toddy to a Bloody Mary. You can see all of them on the Maker's Mark YouTube channel. The link is in the video description.